Hey, Habib. Give me 1 second. All right. You should be able to hear me now. Habib, can you hear me? All right, great. Do you have any advice for me? Anything you want changed on the X Space or YouTube Live? Sorry for the equipment troubles, but it'll get better, I think, eventually. Well, how can we make it better? How can we make the X Spaces, the video, the YouTube Live more valuable to listeners, you think? There's a bit of delay in the feed. Okay. Yeah, I think the chat is about 10-20 seconds behind what I'm 5 to 7 seconds. Okay. That's normal. I think X Spaces has the same issue. So if you guys are on here, we're doing a half-hour pre-game on YouTube Live. Hours here count for watch hours, so that's what I'm trying to get done. Get as many people as possible in here for a few days so that we can knock out that 4,000 hour requirement. X Spaces has the same delay. You know, the speaker board to listeners, there's a 5 to 10 second delay. But if you're on the space, please push the like button, smash the like button. And if you have any suggestions on how we can make the YouTube Live or X Spaces or the videos or the YouTube Live publications, like I really want to hear what people like, what they don't like. So which one do you watch? Do you watch the video recordings later on, the edited version, the unedited version, or do you enjoy the live spaces? Do you enjoy it here? I really would want to hear some feedback at this early stage, just to make sure I'm not missing anything glaringly obvious. So if you have any suggestions, or questions, put it in the comments in the live chat. Habib says, I think the video right now, a video feed is just not feasible, and I don't think it's gonna be feasible for in the near future, not in the next couple of months, unfortunately. Hi, Michelle. So this is what we have to work with right now. I might get a microphone that I think is going to improve things a little bit. Drew Saul says, I enjoy the ability to communicate rapidly on topic here on YouTube rather than commenting on spaces. Yeah, I agree. I think at some point X Spaces will have to incorporate this live chat into the platform over there. But it's good that we have both at the same time. That's helpful. Any other comments? If you're in the space, please push the like button, smash that like button. It does help it push it out to more people. What's on your mind? What are you concerned about about Tesla stock? If you have any feedback on the space or YouTube chat or the video recordings or chapters, for example, do you guys use the chapters at all? Michelle says, I enjoy making connections between their X profiles and YouTube Google accounts. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, people have different accounts. David Casino says, I work from home and the audio makes for some great background audio, similar to talk radio. Yeah, I agree. I think once people get used to it being an audio, I think it'll be okay. Like, I don't think a video is needed, really. Drew Soul. Also, it's great to listen to YouTube while I scroll X. I know there's a pop out on X, but audio seems better on YouTube. Yeah. All right. So right now we have 8 people in here. If you could please hit the like button, that should get it out to more people. And I published about half hour ago All Things Tesla Today, episode 13, supercut. So the supercut takes about half the time to watch versus the live YouTube live edition that came out 6-7 hours before. So I published the YouTube live version as soon as possible after X Spaces ends, but it takes me some time to edit the video. So looks like the app just got updated. The controls that I see over here got shifted a little bit. Any questions about Tesla, you may ask now, or you can give suggestions about how to conduct the X Spaces. How are you guys liking the new version of X Spaces? You know, trying to be nicer to people, trying to keep it more inclusive, more succinct, instead of going on for 7, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Anything you miss from the previous version of Spaces? Or any on the videos that I publish on the YouTube channel, any feedback about the videos, what can be improved? I think it's very valuable to have that kind of sort of feedback right now at this early stage. But generally speaking, people seem content. We're up to 1,154 subscribers. So the channel met the 1,000 subscribers limit required for monetization. We just need to get to watch hours. And we exceeded 1,500 hours of watch hours yesterday. And so we need 2,500 or so. Michelle says, I liked how you introduced the rules yesterday about staying on mute until called upon. There is stuff you'll always have to repeat constantly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yesterday, we got a bunch of speakers on board, a bunch of questions. Mostly it went all right. But yeah, I can take more questions when there are no speakers or limited number of speakers. So let's see. On yesterday's space, more than 2,000 people tuned in, and then about 1,000 people watched the YouTube live in and out. So that's about 3,000 plus people. So that's normal, 1,000 people. I mean, on a down day, on a depressed stock price day, it's not bad. When the stock starts going up, we're going to have more than 10,000 people in the space. Drew Soul says, be inclusive, but be yourself, even if you grill new speakers. I also enjoy the shorter format. I try to listen and learn daily. It's my background while I work. Yeah, that's, I think that's another reason. Because it's work hours, I think people enjoy it being audio. And even the speakers, I think, enjoy it being audio. Can you imagine if every single person who had to come up had to worry about how they look in the camera? I don't think we would get as many speakers. And so I think we need to get, one limiting factor here is that we need to get more speakers. More knowledgeable speakers, like people who know what they're talking about. Yesterday, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, about a dozen speakers. And that should be more like a dozen experts and maybe 2 to 3 dozen overall in a 2 to 3 hour period. I think that's probably a sweet spot. David Casina says, instead of live video, can you put up a static image? You could post the general rules, topics to be discussed, etc. Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of changes going on in my personal life this week. So once I settle down, I'm actually pretty pleased that I can do this every day, even in these turbulent times. So once that settles down, then I think the setups will improve. But that's a good idea. But why, David, why does a static image better than just a black screen? That will come when using OBS or some sort of desktop software. Right now, it's just using two phones, yeah. So I actually was able to acquire a charger for my 2012 laptop. So maybe I'll see it's a very basic laptop, 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's a little slow. 12 years old, but I can't, it's kind of surprising it's still functioning. So maybe I'll explore that OBS. Sure, I'll be a Valentine. Macro News is also great to listen to. I enjoy your viewpoints and how it relates to Tesla currently and future outlooks. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can do some macro here. Macro doesn't translate well to edited recording of the space because, like, there's some, like, each one of these. Each one of the platforms are slightly different from each other. So one content that works for one platform doesn't quite work for the other. Like, for example, here we can talk about macro as people roll in. X spaces, we can talk about macro as people roll in. But in the video, edited, recorded video that I publish later on under the name of All Things Tesla Today, that's the edited version of the X spaces. In those, when people click in the first few seconds of the video, they want to see exactly what they clicked on. So there's no, hi, how are you? Here's the interest rates and the stock prices. They don't like that. When you click in, they want to see exactly what they clicked on. And then once they turn the phone from vertical to landscape mode or whatever the mode they watch and settle back, then you kind of have them hooked in. So those first few seconds of the edited, All Things Tesla Today series is very important in terms of audience retention. So that's why I kind of cut all the first 5 minutes or so and literally start from, hey, Omar, how are you? Or whoever, hey, Wes, how are you? What's on your mind? Like, straight to the topic. Jerusalem, agreed, macro is great to listen to live, but you can't play the recording because it's similar to rewatching sports if you already know the score of the game. Yeah, that's also another good point. David says, the current blank screen is fine. Just figure you could use an image to save you from repeating rules periodically. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure it out. The YouTube Live right now, the primary purpose of it is watch hours. I think YouTube Live doesn't quite work well with audio. Once I have a video setup, I might do that. Like, I think Meet Kevin has a good setup. But that's a few months down the line, maybe later this year, possibly. But right now, I think like one good benefit of it is the live chat. Like as yesterday when X Spaces was going on, the live chat here was very engaging. I really enjoyed the fact that people were discussing among each other what we were talking about on X Space. And I really like the fact also that sometimes the discussion here would differ from what we were talking about X Spaces. So it was really interesting to see like people having conversations about the X Space or the content or another topic that they want, and the moderators were doing a great job. They were answering questions. They were on top of things. We had about 4 or 5 moderators. So yeah, so maybe the live chat is actually good to have here. But there's a lot of different considerations right now. So just bear with me for a week or so until I get settled down a little bit more. And then we'll figure it out. Because right now I have 2 phones, but both of them have to be on Wi-Fi. So I can't even go on walks right now with this setup. I only have cellular in one of them. And then this YouTube Live one, if I exit it, like to go to another app, I think it quits. Like you guys lose audio. So that's not even gonna work that way. So anyway. So we have 9 minutes to start the X Space. I appreciate you all being here for the pregame, trying to get more watch hours towards, I need 2,500 more hours of watch hours to be monetized. We reached the subscriber count, but if you're in the space, please push the like button. We have 18 people actually right now, which is pretty good for a pregame. That's really cool. I don't know if there's a limit to how many moderators I can have. So I recognize many of the people in here. So if anybody wants to be moderator, just kind of let me know, and I'll make you moderator. More moderators, the better, you know. Can't hurt. David says, agreed. People are hesitant to reply to the space on X versus YouTube chat, where it's not a broadcast to all your followers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's so many different versions. Like, you know, the other thing is on X Spaces to reply, you have to get out of the space, which makes no fucking sense. Like, I have to get out of space to read the replies. That makes no fucking sense. So, like, it should be just like this, where the bottom half of the screen should be kind of running chat. Anyway. So, any questions? Leave in the replies. Any suggestions? Leave in the live chat. What is the sound now? Is it better now, or was it better before? I just put on my AirPods. Before that, I was talking directly into the phone. Which one do you like better? Is it better with AirPods on, or is it better with talking directly into the phone? Drew Soul says before was better. You know, we can't put up a poll. Oh no, they took the poll function away. Oh no, I think I have it. Oh, Tyrone says now. Maybe a poll. There's the poll function. Okay. Which is better? So right now is AirPods, and then before was built-in mic. I started it better. I mean, I started the poll. Which is better? AirPods have less hiss. Sounds all right now, Zachary says. Zachary Ferguson. A lot of familiar faces. That's awesome, guys. Thank you for coming to the pregame. You need a mic. Yes, you know, what's his face? Jimmy said he can send me a mic. So next week, I'll hit him up once I settle down a little bit. AirPods sound cleaner, says. Thank you guys for coming to the pregame. If you're in here, hit that like button so we can push out the live stream to more people. I appreciate that. Now, I can't have AirPods on while I have the X Spaces, and the reason is because the audio is traveling from audio out in one phone into audio in or microphone on the other phone. So I have to have that two phones sitting next to each other and no AirPods. But I can put on the AirPods now because Xspace is not online yet. But we're gonna have AirPods better. We're gonna have I'm going to have a new mic probably next week. So maybe that'll help. Oh, the other thing is Omar said we can do middleware, OBS. So that'll help a lot too. That'll help quite a bit. I'm also a little under the weather, so that's part of the reason why my voice isn't as clear. But I'm taking, yeah, it'll improve. Like this is the worst it's gonna be, and then it's like gonna go up from here. I think. I'm pretty sure. Drew says maybe set up donations on YouTube, then you can get super chats. So super chats, like this is why watch hours are so important because super chats I need to get to 3,000 hours. So right now we got to 1,500 plus. So in 1,500 hours, I'll be able to do super chats and memberships to the YouTube channel, which will be great. I think that'll help a little bit. And then I need one more 1,000 hours to get to AdSense revenue. So that would be ad revenue share, and that'll be helpful too. But so there's stages, but I don't qualify for either one of those yet. the subscriber count moved quicker than I imagined. I thought it would take 2 months to get to 1,000, and that was my goal. And then we got there in 2 weeks, which is awesome. But it kind of goes to show we got to get to watch hours. So right now I'm putting out as much content as I possibly can, publishing live streams, publishing the unedited and the edited versions of the space. And then I have a list. I have lists of videos. So, it would be really helpful if people can kind of just like put it on your computer at night before you go to bed and just go through these spaces. Let it auto run the spaces throughout the night. Like if one person did that, we have about 13 episodes on X Spaces list. That's 25 hours from one person. And if 100 people did that, then it would be done. Tomorrow, it would be done. Yeah. All right, X Spaces are about to start in a couple minutes. The AirPods will come out. So we have 20 people in here right now. Yeah, if you all could please hit that like button. And then we'll get started soon. I like this idea of pregame and the after party in YouTube Live. All at the same time. We'll keep the X space to like an hour and a half today, and hang out here in another like 20 minutes after this space. I think it's good to have kind of unique value on each platform. Like this is what I do on this platform. This is what I do on this platform. This is what I do on here. This is what I do on the video, recorded video, unedited video, unplugged video. So some people like watching the raw stuff with all the filler words and it's more authentic. Some people prefer the edited version. I posted the edited version of yesterday's space in my pinned tweet. Shaved off about 45% of the time. We recorded in 3 hours yesterday, and the edited version came out to be about 100 minutes. So I thought that was pretty good improvement. In the second half, towards the end of the recorded, Tesla Scope shared quite a few things about FSD V12. Some of the functionality that's going to come with FSD V12.2. So I highly recommend watching that edited version that's in my pinned tweet. All right, guys, I'm going to take off the AirPods now and then start the X Space. Give me 1 second. All right, you all can hear the X Spaces music starting now. So on YouTube Live, you get to hear everything that's happening in my place. Whereas on X Space, I kind of mute things sometimes every now and then. I like this music. Drew says, solo Cybertruck yesterday in a parking lot, and you should have seen how many people were taking pictures, and the kids were all excited. I think Tesla appeals to youth, and Apple missed it. I agree. Does anyone in YouTube Live get their Apple Vision Pro? Yeah, this is like, exactly. That's awesome. I like that. All right, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I pinned at the top of our screens a link to YouTube live chat. I would highly appreciate it if people could attend that live chat. and discuss, maybe, have discussions in the live chat. That would be awesome. The watch hours is a limiting factor right now to monetization. We need 4,000 watch hours, and we exceeded 15 hours yesterday. So we need 2,500. So if we could have 100 people in the live chat, right now we have 28. If we have an average of 100 people, then 25 hours would do it. So sometime in the next week or so, I think the watch hours limit will be met. But I need more people in live chat. So Tesla stock is up 1.6% at $187 per share. Market cap $585 billion. PE ratio 43. Overall markets. Dow Jones flat. Nasdaq up 0.8%. S&P 500 up 0.6%. Apple is down. There's some rumors of some people returning their Apple Vision Pros, but obviously that's not empirical evidence. I haven't seen a study but my understanding is that the product adds some value and it's actually exceeded expectations for the first version of a new technology. So that's good for Apple. Overall markets are mixed. Oil stocks are down. Consumer defensive stocks are down. Meta up. Chip stocks are up. Tesla up, like we said. Oil at 76.50 per barrel. Natural gas dropping, sinking to 1.61, down 5% again today. Lowest price I've ever seen. Natural gas prices imply an oil price of about $10 per barrel. So I'm really curious to see how low natural gas prices will impact oil prices going forward. All right, great. Now we have 36 people in the live chat. I really appreciate people coming up here. And if you wish to be a moderator in the live chat, please just let me know in the comments, and I can make. I don't know if there is a. I don't think there is a limit to how many people I can make moderator here. And the more the merrier, obviously. If I recognize you, then it's great. If you're in the YouTube live chat, please hit the like button. Let's spread the word. Yield curve is down a few basis points today. 10-year Treasury yield down 5 basis points to 4.27. The short end of the curve is down quite a bit. This morning, we got MBA mortgage applications index. The total applications were down 2%. I will check the purchase applications in a few seconds. EIA crude oil inventories show a jump of 12 million barrels. That's a massive jump in 1 week, on top of 6 million barrels last week. That could be part of the reason why oil stocks are down today. Lyft is up 33%. Uber is up 13%. I'm guessing Lyft, part of the reason why Lyft is up is because they have a pretty high short interest. So there's a bit of a short squeeze going on possibly. I haven't dug into the details of their earnings report. I know there was some controversy after hours, but we can dig into that later if people want. Man, I really like all the love that's coming from YouTube chat. I really like this live chat function. I hope that one day we're gonna get this in the X Spaces as well. Let's see who's in the X Space right now. Any questions, comments, please request to speak. We have Machine in here. He's back after a day of PTO that I did not approve. We missed you, Machine. Come on up to speaker board. People were asking about you yesterday. While Machine works up the courage to come up to speaker board, I pinned at the top of your screens a link to the YouTube live chat function. I highly appreciate it if people could go there for the next few days, because it helps watch hours, and the more people we'll have in there, the more watch hours it adds. So we really need more than 100 people in there. Right now we have 36. And if you're in the YouTube chat function, please hit that like button. Machine, welcome. How are you?
First, I want to give a shout out to all my listeners. Thank you for coming and listening to me. Please like or subscribe or follow me to listen to more info.
What would you like to plug in today? What's your latest movie?
Well, first of all, yeah, I had work yesterday. Something you wouldn't know about as you try to fleece people for money online.
That's absolute bullshit. We know, and everyone said in the live chat yesterday that you did not show up because your leaps went down after CPI surprised upward. Is that not correct?
Well, I mean, I'm sure I didn't check. I'm sure my leaps went down a bit. But I mean, we're at the same range we've been at for a few weeks, so it's not really much movement.
You did not check your leaps because you threw your phone at the wall?
No, but what I did do is on the drop, buy more Meta calls, a company that's actually growing their earnings and kind of possibly undervalued. I expect a 30% increase in share price sometime this year. Something I can't say necessarily for Tesla. Tesla is more of a trading position, not a valuation one, just because it's been oversold. I'm expecting a rise in the next few weeks, hopefully by early March, and then I'll see what I'll do. I'll probably exit a lot of it because, Tesla, we can get into it later, but Tesla's probably around fair value, I would say. But anyways, I did stop in yesterday on your YouTube chat, and I got my pleasure because you don't know who I am. And I made a comment, and you started laughing, looking at your YouTube chat, and I knew you read my comment.
No way. What was your comment? What was your comment?
I told you to learn English, and I know how to.
I repeat that. I repeated that one.
I know.
That's so funny.
Made my day. And I know later in the day you're probably staring at the mirror, like looking at yourself, like, is my accent really bad? And
No.
trying to speak with more American accents. I know I got in your head.
No,
Even if you didn't know it's me, I still got in your head.
No, you didn't. But the thing is, someone actually said in YouTube live chat, wouldn't it be funny if Machine was in here under a different alias? I was like, he probably is. In my head, I didn't say that out loud.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. How'd you like YouTube chat?
I mean, I just was in there for a second. I don't know. It seems like a lot of low signal to noise. There's a lot of noise. I see all these people who are afraid to come up to speak.
That's not true. That's not true. We have really good moderators.
Look at all these. They're all these emojis. It's like
stop.
Snapchat for adults.
Man, you suck. You suck so bad. I need people in YouTube chat right now. Okay. So I know you don't want to help. You never contribute on Patreon. You never say anything nice about this space. You don't subscribe. You don't follow. But I really need people in YouTube chat right now. So if people could please head over to YouTube chat live through the link at the top, I would appreciate it. Lumi?
I was just coming to say hello on Valentine's Day, and not financial advice, but I bought another 1,000 shares of Tesla. Whoop. So I'll leave you at that. I just wanted to say hello to everyone, and good, happy Valentine's Day it is.
Machine?
It's probably a good decision at this share price. And yeah, happy Valentine's Day to all my listeners. I appreciate it. Please send me Valentine's Day chocolates, dark chocolate. I prefer at least 60%, 70%. And yeah, I just want to make a comment on Lyft quickly. Their earnings report stated that they expected their gross margins, I believe, to increase 5% quarter over quarter. And so the market reaction was like, oh my God. And they buying the crap out of the stock. And I don't know if it like doubled. It went up to like 50%. And then they got on the earnings call, supposedly, and were like, oh, whoops, we had an error, a typo in our gross margin. We meant it was going to increase 0.5%. So some people, I'm not going to say idiots, because like if you hear a company's going to increase their gross margin that much, you're going to think it's undervalued. And that's kind of reasonable. Those people got screwed. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's some major fuck up.
So you probably haven't checked the stock price today then, because the stock is up.
I see it's up high. I don't even think it's still up as high as it was. It is still below. At least it's gone up higher than the post earnings call. But it was up to like 17.5. So at least if those people held on, they're not hurting too much.
I mean, what do you mean they're not hurting? They made a killing this morning.
No, I mean, some people may have bought and the after hours high because they thought this thing had 5% incremental. They're going to increase their gross margins 5%, and then it went down after. So, anyway,
how high did it go up?
To $17.50.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? That does suck, actually. I mean, that company's going to get sued because of that, probably. I mean, Lyft is going bankrupt, don't you think? Are they going to survive?
I don't follow their financials, but
didn't some ex-Tesla employees go over there a few years ago, and people were speculating that Tesla was going to tie up with Lyft? You remember that?
They actually stole the IP, and there was a lawsuit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Wild. You know, the kind of rumors that come out with M&A talk is really crazy. You know, people get really excited with M&A ideas. Steven says, for machine in YouTube chat, Popeye chocolate chicken for machine for Valentine's Day. People are saying happy Valentine's Day to your machine.
Well, my schedule is off this weekend. I just did finish a 10-mile, 2,100 foot elevation gain trail run.
No one cares. No one cares.
I slipped a rib muscle climbing.
No one cares. No one cares about your muscles. Costa says machine will only get white chocolate. I agree.
Well, that's disgusting. That's not chocolate.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Wow, one more thing we agree on. It's kind of crazy. Costa says, back on chat, YouTube chat with iPad X on his iPhone. Nice. Nice. That's so cool. We have 49 people on YouTube chat live right now. Oh, Amy is here. Happy Valentine's Day, Amy. What should we ask on the poll here? Machine, do you think? Ask your community. I can do polls on YouTube chat live. YouTube live chat. What do you think we should ask? Come up with something. What kind of chocolate from machine? What part of machine do you like the best? The muscles or the eyes?
Well, there's only one eye.
Only one eye. Can you put your eye into like a more higher resolution picture, please? It looks horrible when I put it on the recorded video.
I don't know why.
People listen to this thing in their cars, and your eye is in their entire screen. It's so weird. We need higher resolution. Can you get some 1080p?
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Thank you.
He probably looks really tired now, so he doesn't want to retake it.
Just try to get like a professional photographer for your eye picture.
Please advertise for that. I'm looking for a professional eye photographer for a...
Oh, that's so funny. Oh no. Wait, so oh, there we go. Okay. The eye is gross machine, Costa says. You know what's really funny? Sometimes I just like, some people have the same alias on X and YouTube, but some people don't. So like, I have no idea who this. I've never seen. Is it like one of these people that used to come here? Could people in YouTube chat please put their X aliases in the chat?
I mean, you've really jumped full shark now. I mean, the Spaces is not even about Tesla anymore. It's just about you talking about the YouTube chat.
We gotta get to 4,000 hours, and I'm the only one talking. I mean, I'm just fascinated by YouTube chat. That's why. But what do you want to talk about? Your dream? What did you see in your dream last night? Who was dropping their pants last night in your dream?
My nothing in my dream, I would say. I've been thinking about operating margin and what it could probably rebound back to in best case.
That's quite sexy.
It is when it comes from my voice. I'm just thinking, obviously, the operating margin, hit a peak during the COVID boom bubble. I'm thinking, maybe it rebounds to like 15%. I think that's reasonable. And if you kind of map out automotive revenue growth, where they can be at average selling price, let's say they get to 4 or 5 million vehicles, energy growth, energy getting to, say...
Can you speak a little faster? We're losing audience. Thank you.
200 gigawatt hours a year, service, 10% of automotive revenue, etc. You get out to where you can get 25 to 30 billion in operating income a year. And I think that's reasonable. And that's still, though, what multiple are you going to give to that operating income? A 30? 20, 30?
I mean, the PE ratio typically is between 25 and 45 for tech, but they don't consider it tech, do they? It's really weird.
Yeah, so, but if I just look at it that way, I'm like, well, this thing could be worth, you could argue that it could still only be worth 600 billion, but you could also argue 900 or a trillion. So I'm just like, well, a lot of that is priced in already. Not all of it. A lot of it. So I really think the future valuation increases company is going to mostly come from the, AI efforts going into products. And that's more volatile, right? That's more risky. It's more uncertain. And so that's just kind of making me feel a little, I don't know, like lukewarm right now until I see more evidence of those things happening. It's not a clear buy, is what I'm saying.
Says the guy who's in Leaps. Are you still in Leaps, or did you sell them?
I still have them all. And if it went down to 175, I would buy a bit more. But otherwise...
Why don't you just keep eating while I hear from Highlander? Highland is trying to connect. Another benefit of YouTube Live is that I can't mute YouTube Live, so you get to hear everything. So the reaction while I'm on mute on X, you can hear on YouTube Live. We have 51 people on YouTube Live right now, 53, and I really need it up to like 100 plus for this week, and then we'll get to 2,500, no problem. So through the link at the top of your screens, if you could please switch over to YouTube Live if you can, I would appreciate that. We have Wes in the audience if he wants to come up and chat. Do you guys see Highlander is a speaker?
Hi, guys.
What's your question?
Every place, my question is more of a statement. My stock holdings, due to health issues, and for my nieces and nephew, it's long term. I appreciate everybody's due diligence and digging into things. They're long term. I buy the stock. They go to my nieces and nephews. And I'm not a wealthy man. I am not by any means. But that's where I'm at regarding anything, whether it's Tesla, Lucid, Rivian, and those are the only 3 stocks I hold, by the way.
All right, thank you.
I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
There's one other thing, and
All right, let's see. What else? Cyberverse says, best machine is no machine. Machine?
Well, I mean, listen, this space would be nothing without me. You know, it'd be a total failure. That's why everyone's talking about me when I'm not here.
We had a record day yesterday.
Bad. But I will say, in response to Highlander, congratulations on losing your nieces and nephews' money. Rivian? Lucid? Are you kidding me?
Oh, he mentioned Rivian Lucid?
He said he's like, I got all this Tesla stock, and then, oh, by the way, also Lucid and Rivian.
No.
Like, what?
Okay, blew me. I should cut it
I
right
was
there.
just going to point that out as well, which I thought was hilarious. Probably the worst investment of all time, Lucid. I don't want to preach to the choir though. So, but I wanted to bring it back to one of Machine's other points, which he was talking about the gross margin. All right, so 2025, we know that after that point, they'll be able to. They're going to be taking orders for Optimus, right? So that's literally from that point onwards. I see obviously the AI you're talking about might add or subtract to that baseline, but really and truly from that point onwards, Optimus will be the main piece of the jigsaw going forward, because basically pre-orders, I think, in my opinion, are going to be historic, because it only takes a few big companies to make a few big pre-orders, and it just is, it's crazy. And that's why I think we're seeing the fight for ownership right now with Elon at another level like we've never seen, I'd say historically, because Delaware is potentially going to jeopardize their standing and things. So that's just where I am at with my thinking. And I've been a long-term, I love this company. So anyway.
All right. Any questions, comments? Please request to speak.
Someone in your YouTube chat said they're 100% in VinFast. So you got a lot of smart followers here.
Are you on both places? I guess so.
That's where his other eye is. He has one eye on that and one eye here.
Oh, that's a good point. Hey, can you, Machine, just message over there so let's see who you are. Remind me who you are. I can't see the participants on YouTube Live.
By the way, so this chat's like a live chat. It's not archived, right? Like afterwards, you can't search it.
No, I don't. I mean, I can't. But and I can't make any changes to YouTube Live before I publish it. And for it to count to watch hours, it has to be published. So I can't switch to private or anything like that. Like literally, YouTube Live is whatever it is. You can't cut it, at the beginning or at the end. You can't edit anything. It's exactly what it is. So Machine, of course, is gonna take that and do something with it. Costa says, "Let's see your eyeball, Machine. Show us your eyeball on YouTube chat. Come on. Can you take a picture of your other eye and just post it on there?"
He only has one eye. It's the other one it was replaced and made to look like a human eye, but he has a patch. He's a pirate machine.
Listen, I know everyone here wants to see high-res pictures of parts of my body, but I find it disgusting, and I need you all to stop.
I don't know why nobody likes you. I think you're really funny.
that's what you want to hear on Valentine's Day. You know, just high resolution shots as your wife is walking around. You know.
Hey, do you want to? Should we talk some Tesla? Machine, what do you think about the price increases? You were looking at the resale prices, and you're like, "Hey, there's more price cuts coming," and instead we got the opposite.
Well, I mean, it can't be a bad thing, particularly the Model Y in Europe. Those are right in Norway and Germany. I mean, I know they had a few weeks of low production, but they already had inventory, and it's just a few weeks. So I think those price increments is a good sign. The Model 3 is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's also kind of iffy just because they apparently haven't been really producing many. So it's harder for me to digest and understand exactly what that means. But obviously their order rate currently is ahead of their expectations for the production ramp. It's definitely better than the other way. I'm definitely happy that the Model 3 is not getting more price cuts because of the losing the EV credit. I think that's a big win by itself. And it's Q1. This is the worst quarter of the year in terms of seasonal demand. So if these things are happening right now, I mean, it's a good sign that this is probably the margin bottom.
I agree with you that operating margins are probably bottomed, especially with energy ramping as well. I don't know about vehicle gross margins though. I think vehicle gross margins might go down again sequentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that Q1 still might be the low point for gross margins instead of Q4, just because there's a little more price cuts overall, more inventory price cuts. But I think these signs are that this could be the bottom, and Q2 will be better. And like you said, operating margin might have already bottomed. So, yeah.
We have a question from YouTube live chat. Drew Soul asks, what is more material impactful on the share price within 2 years? 1, compact, or 2, energy storage megapack? What do you think?
It's got to be the compact. If you just run the numbers, like, I love Tesla Energy. It's a clean product, a clear problem and solution. It's easy to model out. But the fact of the matter is that the contribution long-term to earnings is something that's much less than automotive. I would say long-term. It depends on how much they scale it up. But if they scale up 50% year-over-year growth for a few years, is still, only a fraction of the automotive. And so I think in 2 years, the compact, once it starts production, there's some indication of the, selling price, that is going to be modeled into estimates of future earnings. And I think that contribution will be higher. And yes, and that modeling will happen before, it doesn't have to be in full production for a year for that modeling from, analysts to happen. So I think it's 2024 right now. I do believe this thing will be in production next year, 2025 sometime. So I do believe less than 2 years from now, this thing will be, it may not be at the peak volume production, but I think it's going to be enough to influence modeling of valuation updates.
I know you so well that I can tell immediately when you start bullshitting. Kind of like turn around circles, your speech kind of gets interrupted every now and then. You're like you're thinking out loud, I can tell. But Melody of 1974 in YouTube live chat says, within 2 years, energy machine is wrong. How do you feel about that?
I feel that this person doesn't have much to say. I mean, that's it. Oh, you're wrong, basically. Okay. Like,
I agree with her. Mega packs have ramped already. They're really and mega packs are gonna have higher gross margins than compact vehicle, even at scale. Unless if you think compact vehicle is gonna have robotaxi, but the question was within 2 years.
It's simply much less gigawatt hours for energy. So the revenue from energy is much less. It's that simple.
It's about profits. It's about profits.
Well, there's going to be margin compression on that as well.
Compact vehicle. What do you think is going to be gross margin on a compact vehicle of $25,000-$30,000?
I think it'll be over 20%.
Okay, but mega packs have much higher than 20% gross margins.
Right, already. But it's much less gigawatt hours that they're producing for mega pack.
How many compact sales do you expect in 2026?
I don't know what have they stated what one line is supposed to be able to do?
No.
From Austin?
No, we didn't know what one line was going to do on Cybertruck until 2024.
But I think the throughput of one line is supposed to be at least 2x more than a conventional line. So I mean, you should be able to do at least 500,000.
Okay.
Of capacity.
Okay, so 500,000, and let's say at a maximum you're making $5,000 a car. Okay, so what is that? A couple billion?
Well, you just I mean,
you don't think mega packs are gonna make more than a couple billion in 2026? Come on. Do some math, man. See, this is what happens. You take off. Listen, you take off one day from the space, and you're off your game. And I'm like slamming you around with mathematics, with arithmetic.
I am not saying that in 2026 the compact is going to make more money than mega packs. I did not say that.
Okay.
What I said was that by that time, analysts are going to model out future growth of the compact as it gets installed then in China and Mexico, and model that increase in volume and revenue, which is going to be larger than probably the increase over the next few years of energy. So I believe that will have a higher contributing factor to share price rise.
Okay.
At that time.
That may be, but I want to just let you know that in YouTube chat, people are cheering for me. They're like, nice, go Yaman.
Okay, where? I see nice. I don't say go Yaman.
I put that in there. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, you go, guy. See?
I see someone speaking Portuguese, so I'll just say tudo bem. Como vai? Como você?
All right, look, Ranger the dog says he believes it's going to be energy. Compact won't come until 2026, okay? And, you did say that it's going to be more of a modeling thing, but then Ranger the dog also follows up with modeling estimates for compact will be low, just like the Cybertruck.
I don't listen to dogs.
Oh my gosh, look at all these Goyamans now in the live chat. Do you see that?
Yeah, well, they're just copying now.
I'm gonna report them for spam. No, I'm kidding.
Are you a moderator over there, Lumi? No, you're not, right?
100%, man. 100%. No, I avoid Google. I'm not a fan of YouTube. So,
are you a fan of me? I need the watch hour, Lumi. I need the watch hours. Who cares if you're a fan of Google?
Explain this to me then. Explain the paradigm of this.
So to get to monetization, there are 2 milestones. One that we met is 1,000 subscribers. Okay, we got there real quickly. I thought it was going to take about 2 months. That was my goal, because on average it takes 2 years, and we got there in 2 weeks. Thanks in part to Omar's, reposts, and on his YouTube he posted a 5 minutes. This is my buddy. Go follow him. kind of in a shout out, and that really helped. But watch hours were a little behind. So I need to get to 4,000 watch hours. So let's say, for example, we had 4,000 people in there. Okay. That would be just 1 hour. 1 hour or 4,000 people in the live chat would do it, right? But right now we have 50. If we have 100 and we're there for like 5 hours, that would be 500 hours. And I already have more than 1,500 hours of watch hours from the videos that I've published already. So we have 25. I have to get 2,500 more to get to monetization. That's why I need people in live chat. And what people are doing is they're actually listening in on X, but they have YouTube Live up on a tab and muted. And then there's some discussions going on live chat. If you care for that too, you can join the conversation. And you can go to YouTube chat through the link at the top that says Pregame, call on youtube.com/live, and then there's a specific address to the YouTube live chat. So that's why. And then there are 5 moderators in there that are moderating, directing conversation and everything. I actually haven't seen any spam there today. I've seen more spam from machine in here than I've seen spam ever in YouTube live chat.
So I'm going to click the link above and go through and do the whole shebang.
There's no whole shebang. It literally takes you to live chat.
All right, is that easy?
It's that easy.
You're converting someone here. You're going to get an extra hour, like per hour. So it's, yeah. And the thing is that everyone in the audience, I mean, there's 90 people in this room. There's only like 4 likes on that link, 2 reposts. Like, come on now, at least like throw a like on it and repost it so it gets out into the world. Yeah. I mean, even if you're not the person to do it. I mean, I could see wiggle in this room. Like, there's a few people who are predominantly royalty, I'd say. Yeah. But anyway, I'll leave you to it.
All right, thank you.
Also, another way to monetize is to show your feet, machine. I find that if you show your eyes, it's not as monetizing as if you show your feet.
All right. We actually need to talk some Tesla. Machine. Let's see.
What?
So Cybertruck production is, ramping, but pretty slowly. Quality over production rate appears to be the case, the goal, which is good. FSD V12.2 is coming out soon, but hasn't yet. We'll see, maybe this weekend, maybe next. Do you want to talk? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Elon's compensation plan, that the news that came out, Sawyer posted earlier? Update. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about something else? We talk operating margins. Do you want to talk CPI, rate cuts?
Well, I don't know. CPI didn't seem like a lot of the increase was from the housing element, or am I incorrect on that?
Yeah, most of it is shelter.
So I just, I think, big picture, as I predicted a month and a half ago, that everyone was overreacting to the Fed and overestimating confidence of rate cuts. And then we've seen this correction, which was expected. Now I think maybe people are overreacting the other way a little bit.
I have X Spaces on mute right now,
rate cuts till
and
June,
I can just mute it. We can have our own conversation while he talks.
And I think,
While Machine rambles on, we can have a different conversation on YouTube chat.
Inflation's still heading down. There's no reheating. By the way, these
that'd be mean.
Stats, how much of that is because inflation is not going down as much, or inflation is going up higher now versus was it dropping quickly a year ago? Those are the 2 elements in that computation of year over year. And so it's kind of important to know both elements. That's why the year over year stats aren't really good.
You guys see the background now. The Backstage.
That's more reasonable. But so I think Tesla obviously highly influenced by perceived interest rate cuts.
Yeah.
So
you're so right. That's exactly correct. I agree.
Hey, by the way, I think outside of Omar saying at the end of the day, The other statement on this basis that's most heard is, I agree with machine.
You know what? As you were rambling on over there, I just had a different space on YouTube chat with my YouTube chat followers. My diehard YouTube. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I did not do that. That would be very mean. Anyway. Are you worried that the rate cut expectations are extending out in the year since you have leaps?
I mean, a little bit. I still think, yeah, I don't want rate cuts to start happening at the end of the year in terms of this trading position, but it may happen. That's why this trading position was more aimed for a shorter term rebound after being oversold, which could be incorrect, but it does seem like we've kind of been steady at a bottom here in the 180s. Yeah, sure, it went up to 190 a little bit, but like it's not going down. Even the bad news with interest rates, like Tesla actually performed relatively well versus the rest of the market. It's actually showing some strength. So I do believe still that we're probably around a local bottom, but that doesn't mean it can't go down further, over the course of a few months later from now. So I don't know. The rate cuts uncertainty is definitely an issue for Tesla in terms of gross margins ever coming back up. So we probably are going to have to wait longer now to get a bigger bump in earnings, right, until the end of this year, unfortunately. Like there should be some incremental gains in Q2. Q1 maybe operating margin, right, could be a little higher. Q2 maybe a little bit, and then I think Q3 and Q4 are the only ones now where we're going to get to a point where possibly the interest rates have, they don't have to cut the interest rates. They just have to signal it, and then the yields go down, right? If yields go down, that'll influence loan rates. So it's not going to be till the second half of this year, I guess.
Well, in the second half of the year, I think the Fed will I hate to be I think that the Fed will worry about looking political in the second half of this year if they make a change. So I think status quo bias will kick in. But that's just...
Are you saying they're not going to cut the whole year?
Yeah, I think it may wait until next year.
Wow. You are so all over the place.
That's not true. And let me explain. Yeah. Hold on. See, by the way, I invited you before to my VA_macro Twitter handle, X handle, because there I do macro spaces every Saturdays, okay? And I want you to be part of those spaces. But despite my invites, you refuse to come to my party. And that breaks my heart. Now, hold on. So there, Yutzi and I had a really good conversation last weekend. He said the same thing. You're all over the place. You're changing your view on rate cuts. I'm like, no. It's because you guys aren't listening when I talk. My theory is the same. I said before that they will want to cut rates early because they're not going to want to cut close to the election. Now we're close to the election, and now I'm saying based on that same premise, I think they're going to wait until after the election to cut.
And I think you are just totally wrong.
Okay, maybe.
And you'll be wrong. You're already going to be wrong now, as you know, on your bet with me that there's going to be a rate cut by March.
I don't think you and I have that bet. I think I have that with you.
We do. Unfortunately for you, we do. I looked it up.
Okay.
It's another bet you're going to lose. But that doesn't mean now all of a sudden, just because it's not happening in March, that's not going to happen until January 2025 or November. It's insane.
Okay.
You're just losing your marbles.
Okay. Do you have anything to contribute on top of that, or are you just saying you're wrong? Like you criticized somebody just a second ago.
I predict rate cuts in the summer.
All right. Before this, talking over each other like two toddlers makes Tim Rogers run away. Let's get what he has to say. Tim.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
gentleman. He starts with more like toddlers right now.
Look at my name, Mr. Rogers. You gotta, you know. So my question is in respect to Jim Farley over at Ford, right? So obviously they can't, produce enough EVs to be at scale. So don't you think it would be a good idea for a company like Ford to team up with Tesla and maybe, reduce some of their costs? I mean, I think they're losing $45,000 a unit right now.
I don't think they have anything to bring to the table. I don't think Ford has anything to bring to the table. I think it would just slow down.
Hybrids. They have hybrids to try to bridge over and try to catch up, but wouldn't you think buying Tesla batteries?
Omar, how are you?
Hey, good morning. I just, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I just got stuck in a Waymo for a few minutes, and other than that, I'm having a good day.
Well, that's great. Good to have you back. We have YouTube live chat going on at the same time. The link is at the top of your screens. I would highly appreciate it if people could open YouTube live chat as well. There's some discussions going on in the chat over there. It helps the watch hours. So yesterday we got to above 1,500 for the channel watch hours. So we need 2,500 more. And the more people that are in YouTube chat, the quicker we're going to get there. And if you're in YouTube chat, please hit that like button, spread the word. Omar, do you have any thoughts on the macro talk that we were just having? When the Fed is going to cut rates, whether they would be cutting rates before the election, or if they're going to wait until after the election just to not look like a political.
Well, first of all, I'm with Machine. The Fed does not consider politics or elections in their decision making. That doesn't factor in at all. They have independence. The president can't fire them. That allows them to not worry about those things. So they're going to do what they think is right. They've spelled it out. When they believe that inflation is clearly moving to the 2% target sustainably, then they begin cutting. It doesn't even have to get all the way to 2%. Now, if you look at CPI excluding shelter, we've actually been under 2% for like 9 months or something. It's like 1.5% excluding shelter. So if you have a mortgage or your rent payment isn't going up, then you're not really experiencing inflation above the 2% target. So you don't hear people talking as much about inflation anymore. For most people, these rapid price increases are not really something that's happening anymore. Things have shifted a lot. I mean, you look at, for example, what was happening to Tesla prices. They were shooting up. Now they're shooting down, right? So that kind of, car prices are obviously one component of inflation. So I think the Fed is being cautious. They're not going to actually be as dovish as they maybe are really feeling because they want to be cautious. But when you look at like what's happening in China, I think there is a risk of contagion there where you have prices falling sharply in the Chinese market. That's such an export-oriented market that there probably is a greater risk than they're not acknowledging of us actually falling below the 2% target sustainably and going into deflation. So you would definitely want to cut before that happens to avoid a problem that's even potentially worse than inflation. And, secondly, I think one of the reasons why shelter costs are so high are because of the high cost of financing, right? So a lot of supply has been taken off the market until the rates start coming down. So by cutting rates, you could actually potentially soften shelter prices a little bit by increasing transactions, warming up the market, and having a situation where it's a little bit less tight than it is now in the housing market. Like, we've been trying to buy a house, we can't find shit because nobody wants to go get a new mortgage at whatever the rate is today, knowing that the Fed is going to start cutting, right? So I think overall, the market may have gotten a little bit excited about the pace of cuts, but we're still trending firmly towards really being under that 2% target sustainably. And the sort of risks of it flaring back up again, they don't seem to really be materializing. So I think we probably will see, 3 cuts or more in the back half of this year. We're talking, after June, July. And, I think things are looking pretty good overall. I don't think this could have gone much better than it's gone when you really look at inflation, getting that under control. And obviously there's huge effects to growth companies like Tesla, but price stability is also really important for Tesla, for being able to, deliver a $25,000 car and continuing to have those cost improvements. So overall, I think things went pretty well.
Machine, what do you think about Omar's statement that lower cutting rates would actually ease shelter inflation? Do you agree with that?
I get his idea that it would increase supply, and that maybe that would reduce, but I still don't agree, just because my inkling is somewhere like here in the Bay Area, there's so many people waiting on the sidelines. As soon as interest rates go down, I just get the feeling these people are going to start trying to make their money go further. Everyone's going to max out how far their money can go. And they're just, and that doesn't speak for the, I guess that's not the same necessarily in the whole country, but there's such limited supply. And to suddenly expect a massive increase, all of a sudden everyone's going to sell their house at once. I just think people are content living where they live, and they don't want to, there's, overall not going to just decide to sell their houses. I don't know how many people are waiting. I'm just not sure. I just, so it's possible, but not likely in my opinion.
Why are your disagreements with Omar so much more well phrased and political than when you disagree with me? You start with, "You're wrong, you asshole, you Turkish accent," blah blah blah.
No, I mean, I disagree with you, in a polite manner, and then you interrupt me, and then it just spirals downhill. Omar interrupts. If he interrupts me, I'll yell at him too. Equal opportunity.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit.
BSers.
You know it.
And he started his statement with, "I agree with Machine," so that probably buttered me up a little bit.
Okay. Well, MJ agrees with both of you. There you go.
Did you guys hear about this Lyft thing yesterday?
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
I mean, there's not much to talk about. They said they forecasted 50 basis points of margin expansion, and they wrote 500 basis points. The stock shot up like 60% after hours, and then they issued a correction, and they're like, actually, it's 50 basis points, not 500. So it's like the difference between 5% and 0.5%. And then the stock still went up like 20%. It was completely bizarre. And honestly, I wonder, like, was that an error, or did someone just pull off like a really epic trade? Like, think about it. They're just like dating the person who has to put that deck together. They just distract her for a second, put an extra zero in there, load up on calls or something they can sell after hours. I don't know. Maybe there'll be some SEC action over this, but not really too much to discuss there. Just kind of funny.
Was there anything in the actual results that would have led to today's increase?
Well, 50 basis points of margin expansion are forecasted.
I don't think that's enough for today's. I think there's some weird stuff going on there. There's definitely going to be an SEC investigation. I'm trying to be more of a host and get out of making definite statements like what I just said. There will definitely be an SEC investigation. I don't fucking know. What do I know? Anyway.
Yeah, the other thing that was interesting is it turned out that the person who got in the drunk driving crash had never actually downloaded FSD beta.
So Washington Post article was completely off, huh?
Yeah, completely wrong. And, you know, Fred Lambert, he's like DMing Sawyer saying, "You're wrong, da-da-da." He's like talking up a storm, like, you know, having this battle with Sawyer on the timeline, like saying, "Oh, these Tesla fans are so terrible. They're trying to blame this guy just because he was drunk for the crash when he was clearly running FSD beta." And it was like, no, actually, he didn't even download it. If he had, it might have actually saved his life. But he never downloaded it, despite the fact that it was available to them. So, you know, it just reminds, like, this shit just happens time and time again. They're just trying so desperately to find this, you know, horrific death by FSD, and they just cannot find it. They cannot find it, and so they have to, like, make stuff up. Like, you guys remember that other story in Texas? Oh, you know, there was no one in the driver's seat. They thought that they could just, you know, and then it was just complete bullshit, right? And this just keeps happening time and time again, and they don't learn. They don't look for actual proof. Proof would be vehicle logs, FSD on, not some guy who was shit-faced said something. That's what we call anecdotal evidence, right? So, you know, if you just do the math, there's 1.35 fatalities for every 100 million vehicle miles traveled. So, just based on them driving 800 million miles, there should be 11 people who died using FSD beta if it's no more or less safe than driving manually. If it has no impact on safety, then there should be 11 people who died. That's just normal when you drive 800 million miles. So, nobody died. If this person had actually been the first person to die, like the Washington Post story said, then that would mean you can drive 11 times further on average on FSD beta compared to manual driving without dying. But now it turns out this guy wasn't even running FSD beta. So we're 800 million miles, over 10 times more than what the fatality rate is for manual driving, and still nobody's died. It's kind of incredible.
Machine, but before that, link at the top of your screens for YouTube live chat, which contributes to watch hours. Please head over to YouTube chat, live chat, help the channel. Machine?
I mean, I just have to say that Faiz Siddiqui is a dick. This guy's such an asshole. All his stories are only about Tesla, autopilot, or FSD accidents. It's his whole goal. I just wonder, I'm not a conspiracy theorist normally, if just Jeff Bezos literally just hired this guy to just come up with bullshit on Musk and Tesla. I just can't believe this guy. Like, if I see him in the street in San Francisco, I'm going to punch him in the face. And has anyone ever seen...
No, you won't. You're all talk.
Omar?
All talk, no action. You wouldn't kill a fly.
Faiz Siddiqui and Omar Kazi might be anagrams of each other. I don't know if we've seen these people in the same room at the same time.
I actually talked to Faiz Siddiqui over the phone. I mean, the dude's just doing his job, and his job is literally to shit on autopilot, you know? So, like, we had a friendly conversation. I was like, look, you're going to be really embarrassed by your legacy on this, right? You're like the guy who's writing that, like, seatbelts can kill you and it's better to be thrown away from the car. And, like, I mean, this has really been an embarrassing week of L's for the FSD haters. First, Dan O'Dowd spends $1 million on a Super Bowl ad and gets reprimanded by the NTSB in NHTSA. He's now potentially facing 5 years in prison. Then, on the other hand, you've got this guy writing this story, putting their credibility on the line, and it just turns out to be complete BS.
Why isn't he fired? I mean, I feel like even though he's selling, good ads on the articles and everything and subscriptions and all that, we're still talking about it. If it's that, falsifiable, it's factually wrong, then I think that should be like an immediate dismissal. You know what I mean? And that hurts the credibility of your publication.
Well, so normally what would happen in a situation like this is you'd have the journalist write a story, and let's say it was Waymo or something. They'd reach out to Waymo, and Waymo's PR would say, hey, listen, this wasn't, what you think it is, da-da-da. And then they either wouldn't write the story or they would note in the story what the spokesperson said. What Tesla does, which is kind of an interesting strategy, is just let them make a fool of themselves and then, post the truth on X. So you could say, well, this is kind of a risky strategy because the damage is kind of done, right? Potentially. But on the other hand, then people just don't trust them anymore.
I think I have some moderators in YouTube live chat, right? I believe. Just a shout out to moderators for moderating. David Katz?
Just real quick about maybe something we already know, but obviously the story was written, it's a lie, the damage is done. And too many people believe it. And even if there is a retraction, it's not a front page retraction. It's done a week later and nobody sees it. So this is the way a smear campaign is run.
Thank you, David Katz. Omar, there was a question in YouTube live chat for you. Do you think Andrej Karpathy is coming back to Tesla?
I don't think he's coming back to Tesla. Karpathy talked about why he left on the Lex Friedman podcast, and he's like, look, I kind of became in a position where I'm managing the team rather than just hacking on stuff myself, and that's not really a position I want to be in. So maybe he could, do some consulting or something, but I think dude just wants to make some YouTube videos, and do whatever the hell he wants. So, I'm sure Tesla would be happy to have him if he does want to go back. Maybe he saw V12 and he was like, okay, yeah, this is actually really exciting. Let's finish this. But, I could see it maybe like on a, consulting basis or something like that. But, he probably just has other things he wants to do, like making YouTube videos, hacking on stuff, investing in companies. But, Elon did like my tweet where I said, come back to Tesla, Karpathy. And Karpathy liked my tweet that said, excited to see what you do next. So maybe they actually have a secret plan here and they're kind of being coy about it. But, I think the AI team has done exceptional without Karpathy. And they've really kind of taken the deep learning approach, like end-to-end neural networks further, like kind of to what he originally envisioned. So I think he's on good terms with the team. They're friendly. I think, he'll talk to them, he'll give them guidance, but I'm not sure really what he wants to do next. This is a guy who can do anything he wants right now.
So you think XAI is more likely to get Karpathy than Tesla?
I don't know if I'd say it's more likely. It's a possibility. Yeah, we'll have to see. It is a little bit of a surprising move for him to leave to OpenAI and then to, head out so quickly. It does seem like it's a strange time for OpenAI, right? They had this ChatGPT moment and it was this big explosion of excitement, but, it's kind of at this place where it's like, all right, well, this was supposed to change the world, but it hasn't really. There's limitations to this technology. And at the same time, it's been really commoditized by open source models, by Google, by XAI. There's an LLM built into Twitter. It's not really as special as it was just a year ago.
What do you think about George Hotz's comment? Actually, I don't know if he said this for certain. I saw him quoted in a post, but he apparently said something like, true FSD isn't going to be until 10 years away.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just took a driverless ride to the park and back to get some tacos. And I'm driving with FSD 12 and it's making zero intervention rides curb to curb. So what is true FSD? You know, if I can take a driverless ride and it works reliably, then is that really 10 years away from true FSD? It may take him 10 years with the hardware he has, but I mean, this is really happening.
Just one sec. We have some breaking news. Elon Musk files 13G on Tesla with 20.5% stake. Elon Musk files 13G on Tesla with 20.5% stake.
Does that mean he's been buying Tesla?
I'm not sure what it means exactly. So
Tesla stock shooting up after hours.
What is it at?
192.
Closed up 2.6%. After hours, it's up 1.9%.
Wow. Holy shit. So we're not too far away from 25% then.
We're only, 4.5% away.
We can give him that.
How do you suggest Tesla give him 4.5%?
Grant him RSUs and they vest if he can, get Tesla to 4 trillion or something like that.
All right, if anyone has any further information on this headline, you may request to speak or leave a reply into YouTube chat. Ken asks, did he buy or exercise his options? That's exactly what I was thinking too. He might have just exercised his options.
Yeah, I could see him exercising any options he had so that he, increases his stake as much as possible so that he can vote on, reincorporation and issues like that.
Exactly.
And I bought $25,000 of Tesla yesterday at 183 just because of V12 and everything. So I could see him also looking at everything that's happening at Tesla, literally walking into this room of robots like it's Westworld and having your car drive you around and just saying, I need a bigger stake in this company, especially at these prices. This is like some narrative shifting news.
Tell us more.
Well, I mean, there's been, the Tesla community has become the delusional butthurt bag holder community. And you hear like all these things that aren't true, all these sort of myths. One of them is Elon doesn't care about Tesla. He's checked out. He's going to actually take FSD and Optimus and take him to a different startup. It's like, that literally makes no sense. But, people say it like it makes sense. And, well, if he is leaving Tesla, then why would he be increasing his stake?
Yeah. Do you think it's more likely that he exercises options rather than buying incremental additional shares? I mean, when you exercise the option, you're kind of essentially buying shares too at a lower strike price. But, do you think he bought open market shares or just exercised his existing options?
I mean, if you have any options that are vested, then you would exercise them. What the options basically are a contract that says you can buy Tesla shares at this price. So his option may say, for example, you can buy Tesla at $20. Even years later, you have the option to buy those shares at $20 at that price at the time. And Tesla basically holds those shares in their cap table. They put it in sort of like an options pool or an options reserve. And then you can buy those, and then the shares outstanding increases, and he actually pays the money directly to Tesla. So Tesla's cash position would actually increase based on the exercise of those options, which could potentially be like hundreds of millions or billions, depending on how much he exercised. So, Tesla would obviously benefit from that, as opposed to the market seeing that transaction, like rather than it being an open market transaction. But that allows them to then buy, 10 times as many shares, depending on what the strike price is. So, it would be foolish to buy on the open market if you have an option that allows you to buy at a fraction of that price.
I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I understand what you mean.
I mean, if your objective is to increase your voting control as much as possible so that you can reincorporate and stuff like that, you would want to exercise any vested options, as that would maximize the number of shares you get per
I agree,
dollar.
but I don't agree with it would be foolish to buy in the open market if you have options at a lower strike price, because if the share price is lower than, like significantly lower than intrinsic value, let's say, it still makes sense to buy at the open market, even and hold your options for a later purchase at that strike price. Assuming that they're not about to expire, right?
That's true, but again, I think his goal here was really to increase his control of the company as much as possible. And then, I think obviously there's going to be probably some tax implications of this. There's, tax on the exercise of the options. So he may have to sell a portion to pay taxes or something like that. But he could also, use a margin loan or some other source to do that.
Okay, great. Any other questions, comments on this topic? You may request to speak. If you have any questions for Omar, you may request to speak. Machine is coming up. I'm sure he has something to say. Machine?
Hey guys, I had a meeting, just 15 minutes. I'm assuming I didn't miss anything.
We have a 13G filing from Elon Musk. He increased his stake to 20.5% of Tesla. Initial take is that he exercised his options, increased his control over the company at a lower price. So good for him, because that lowers his taxable tax liability, because the stock price is so low today. So he would be paying, his taxable liability would be based on the current share price, the exercise price, minus the strike price of the options. So the lower the share price when he exercises those options, the lower his taxable tax liability. So 20.5. So we're only 4.5% away from reaching his 25% target. And Omar is suggesting that we could give him some RSUs or other sort of compensation structure to get him to 25. What do you think, Machine?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on exactly how they would go about doing that still, but I do think maybe I'm stating the obvious, that it's a big positive that he's doing this. I believe it's kind of signaling the end of the tail risk that I had talked about a week or two ago of things possibly going wrong, and this is a positive signal, and I think the market will take it well overall. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it does signal that. Good point. It kind of shows he's still committed to Tesla, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the market, hates uncertainty. And there's still uncertainty around all this, but him doing this reduces some of that considerably, I think.
Yeah, exactly. There's some discussion going on the topic on YouTube chat live right now, YouTube live chat, which the link is at the top of our screens. And Newladite asks, why would he exercise his CEO compensation options if those are held up in court proceedings? And MJ replies, he's got other options from 2012 or so. So there you go.
I also see the live chat, someone said, I heard machine has a massive blank. I don't.
You know, this kind of besides the topic.
not.
We're focused on 13G right now, not your 13. Anyway, so Omar, do you think this confirms Elon's commitment to Tesla? Are you happy about this news?
I mean, I never doubted his commitment to Tesla. I talk to people who have meetings with him. He doesn't tweet about every meeting. He, is doing what he's always done for years. Meeting with the AI team every week, working on getting these updates out, working on the strategy of the company. So, I mean, it's not really surprising. He said that he wants to have a 25% stake in the company.
In the replies to the space, Marty Earthling points out that this is a 13G filing, not a 13D filing. The 13D form is for investors who intend to take an active role in the company, while the 13G is for passive investors. What do you guys make of that? Do you think that's a significant piece of information?
So wait, which one did he file?
So first of all, I don't know if this information is correct, but Marty Earthling says in the replies, Marty Earthling says 13G instead of a 13D. The 13D is for investors who intend to, I need to hold on. Before I repeat this with so many people in here, I should just look this up. K10, what do you make of this news while I do look at that?
Can you hear me? I think I have a lag.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, yeah, no, I just saw the news, and so I was jumping in to hear what was going on. I'm glad that it's happening. I mean, he needed to definitely file back on that. I mean, I know that all the shareholders put that letter together, but I don't know how much the judge or anything will really take that into consideration, as awesome as it was. But I think this is the first strike. It's a good move.
Okay, here is the definition from sec.gov. An investor with control intent files 13D, while exempt investors and investors without a control intent, such as qualified institutional investors and passive investors, file 13G.
What does control intent mean? Literally to have 50% control? What is, I don't even know what the definitions of that is.
This is the same debate that happened when he was buying Twitter, remember?
Which is interesting because it's the same judge presiding.
Any questions, comments? You may request to speak. David Katz, what do you think of this news?
I'm sorry, what do I think about what?
What do you think of Elon announcing that his ownership is now 20.5%?
He just announced it?
Say that again?
I'm sorry. If his ownership is 25%, that's what he wanted, what he deserves, and make him happy.
It's 20.5, not 25.
20.
20.5. That's okay. That's okay. Let's see. The stock is up 1.1% after hours.
Simon, I did a Google search and it said the 13G.
Simon Claring Bold in YouTube chat says 13G, no control intent, because he doesn't want to imply he's going to control, influence the board. Omar?
Yeah, I did a quick Google search and it said that the 13G is basically just an easier form to fill out. Like it's less detailed and has less requirements. So I think you would want to just fill out that one if you could to avoid disclosure. It does maybe seem like, he should have used the 13D. It said the 13G is really for people who have a stake below 20%. So it seems like with 20.5%, maybe it was an improper form or something. But I would, maybe avoid reading too much into it. We have seen cases where, they filed a form late or something before. So I don't think this is him like announcing he's leaving the company or anything like that just because it's a G instead of a D.
Okay, good. I hope that's the case. That probably is the case, but it is an interesting point. Machine.
I mean, you have to exercise the options before you sell them. What are the chances he's just exercising them to sell them in the sort of worst case scenario, I would say?
He could exercise and sell right away. He doesn't have to file after exercise, right? I mean, it would be very unlikely to exercise, announce that you exercise, and then sell, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just trying to think through, I guess, any of the possible options.
It looks like he's filed both 13Gs and 13Ds in the past. So this one's a 13G. Before that, it was a 13D. The last time he filed a 13G was 2022-15. So about 2 years ago.
Wes?
So,
thank you.
actually, 2022-44 as well, 13G.
That's good information. Thank you. Wes?
Is there a link to the filing? I don't see one posted online.
Yeah, I can.
Go to ir.tesla.com, click at the menu, then go to SEC filings, and you should see them all.
Wait.
Sammy?
Yeah, I was going to say I normally get an email from Tesla, and I didn't get one, and I haven't seen it yet either. Can anyone break down, exactly what the implications of what happened were? Is it just an exercise or any additional shares purchased, or what exactly happened?
I can break it down. This is a normal filing that happens, every year. There's nothing new in this filing. It just tells you how much stock Elon owns outright, which is about 12.8% of Tesla, and then he has another 304 million unexercised stock options, which we already knew, which would bring him up to about 20%. Those 304 million stock options are, his 55 billion that he just got. It hasn't been taken away quite yet, but that's what that means. So there's nothing new here. It doesn't have any implications. It's just old info.
K-Tan. Thanks, Sawyer. That's really helpful.
Yeah, that email went out to me last night. I actually have a 13G filing announcement from Tesla yesterday.
That's interesting. Why is it making news now then?
That was for Vanguard.
I pinned at the top Evan's screenshot of the 13G filing. Ketan, are you telling me this went out last night, not today?
Well, it doesn't. I haven't looked into it, but it does say that. Let me just read it. I guess Sammy's saying it's for Vanguard. A Form SC 13G has been filed with the United States Security and Exchange Commission. That's all the announcement I got, and then it said, "Let me look at it."
Yeah, that might be different. Sawyer, are you saying so? There's no new information in the picture at the top. You're saying?
Yeah, no, this is all old info. There's no like trades happening. This is just a simple filing that he makes, every year, and just tells us how much Tesla he owns. Nothing. This is the same. He owns the same amount that he did a year ago.
Okay, great.
And one thing I should clarify is, even though the whole amount that given is 20.5%, that's not the amount he owns outright right now. He owns around roughly 12.9% outright, and then he has the option to exercise some stock options, which would bring him up to roughly 20%. But those are the stock options that were just taken away from him. So.
Yeah, it was Vanguard and the 13G from last night.
Yeah, Vanguard's stake went from 6.9% about a year ago to I think it's like 7.3% now. That doesn't really mean anything. Doesn't mean they're buying because they're bullish. It's just simple fund management. So that also doesn't really mean anything.
All right, great. We have a lot of people joining right now, probably trying to learn about this. Sawyer, do you want to repeat for those people who just joined? We had like 400 people join in the last few minutes.
Yeah, sure. So we just got a scheduled 13G filing for Elon Musk's Tesla ownership. His shared voting power is stated as 715 million shares roughly. He owns, not outright, but it says that total ownership would represent around 20.5% of Tesla. He owns, where's the number? He owns 411 million shares outright of common stock currently, which is around 12.9%. And then he has the options to exercise another 304 million shares, which would bring him up to a 20.5% ownership. But those 304 million shares are part of his 2018 compensation package, which as we all know, the ruling was just that, it's unfair and that it was essentially taken away from him. So while those 304 million shares haven't been officially taken away from him, that's why they're just still in this filing. But this filing doesn't mean anything. It's the same ownership that he had a year ago, 20.5% overall. So yeah, there's nothing crazy here.
Sammy.
Yeah, Sawyer just cleared up what I was going to say, that, yeah, he has 20.5%, but that's subject to the recent ruling.
I see. Thank you, Sammy, for clarifying. All right, great. You guys want to switch topics then, since this seems to be no news? Sawyer, what else is on your radar?
I'm not sure there's much else going on. I think, the FSD story's been talked out, so I think that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you. The stock is coming back down after hours. It was up about 2%, and it's now down to 190, up 0.9%. Thank you, Sawyer, for stopping by, and Sammy coming up and clarifying. Sounds like it's making its way. The news is making its way around.
For those of you that use Grok,
Chris N in YouTube chat says Lebloy just reported on it. Sammy, go ahead.
for those of you that use Grok, a few of us have been poking around trying to get inside information like small tidbits of inside information out of it. And one thing we noticed is that it says that all new Model X's will have ambient lighting. Friend then asked whether it's getting its infos, and it replied that it gets it from direct just as well. So just something interesting. I found out that but I don't think that was from DMs. That's probably public.
Any questions, comments, please request to speak. For those of you who just joined, the posts that you're seeing on X, that Elon just filed 13G, appears to be no news per Sawyer. Sawyer says this is an annual filing. It's a regular filing. It doesn't mean anything. It's the same numbers as before.
Yeah, Elon is just required by law to disclose this, every year. This was also in Tesla's annual report that came out like a few weeks ago. It's the same numbers, no difference. And as well as like Vanguard, BlackRock, all those big Tesla holders are also required to report their Tesla holdings, and those all come out in like 13 G filings as well.
Yeah. By the way, at times like this, when there is, some speculation and breaking news and confusion about what's happening, I don't accept requests to speak from people I haven't seen before. So if you're requesting to speak and you're not getting accepted, that's why. So Sawyer, does this mean we're only 4.5% away from the 25% that he wants to get to?
No, so the main number to focus on with his filing is the 12.9% outright ownership. Those are shares that Tesla or Elon actually owns. He holds them, and then the other percent, the 304 million unexercised stock options. Those are shares that Elon does not currently own. Those are stock options that he had that are associated with his 2018 compensation package, which was just ruled unfair. So if the ruling stands, those stock options would be taken away from him. But we sort of have to wait to see if Tesla will appeal that ruling or not. So again, like the main number is 12.9% outright ownership. That's the number to focus on.
There you go. Great. That answers actually a bunch of questions in the replies as well. So thank you, Sawyer. So you had a post earlier about the compensation discussion, I believe this morning. You want to talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the plaintiff side, the defense, or Elon side, and the plaintiff side filed a joint letter, I guess. It sounds like Tesla and Elon will appeal the ruling. We don't know for sure. That seems like what they're moving towards. Before Tesla and Elon can appeal, the two sides would have to propose a final order for approval by Judge McCormick, which will include a petition for a legal fee, and that legal fee, which would be paid by Tesla, and there will be some negotiations there, is expected to be likely the largest legal fee ever paid in history, which would probably be I would guess $2 to $2.5 billion ultimately, which is pretty nuts. Typically, if you take a percentage of the total damages, which is like 55 billion in this case, because that's the whole compensation package. So you take the plaintiff side would request a certain percentage of that, which I think the typical percentage initially is 26 or 27%, and obviously Tesla and them negotiate downwards slowly. So it wouldn't end up being that. It would probably be $2 billion instead of $10 billion. But then the fee petition is expected to be filed by March 1st, so in a couple weeks. If that's approved, Elon would have 60 days to file an appeal with the Delaware Supreme Court. And then if that moves forward, an appeal would, expected to take at least 6 months to resolve. I was speaking to Richard, a lawyer, earlier today. It could take up to 12 months. So now it's sort of between, does Tesla want to just pay this massive legal fee and move on? And so they can move on to developing Elon's next compensation plan, or does Elon feel like he has a moral obligation because he feels like this sets a really bad precedent in this ruling, and he feels like it's so wrong that he just wants to press forward with an appeal, which would likely put on hold Elon's next compensation package for a little while longer and create some short-term uncertainty. But of course, Tesla could press forward with that appeal and just pull it at any point if they just choose to just drop it. They can do that.
So does that mean, Sawyer, that we're not going to get clarity on Elon's compensation package for at least 6 months to 12 months?
Potentially, if they press forward, with the appeal, then yes. And a lot of people are saying, well, can they go all the way to the Supreme Court with this? The United States Supreme Court? No, this is like just a state issue. The highest level that this case can go is to appeal with the Delaware Supreme Court, and then it would just end there if they decide to go that far.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Please request to speak. You may now request to speak if there are any questions or comments now that we have clarity on the posts about the 13G filing. Happy to accept the request to speak.
I think the 13G filing is going to be a little confusing for people with that 20.5%, because those 304 million unexercised stock options that is a part of that percentage was just ruled, that Elon can't have that. So, but because, they haven't decided whether they want to appeal or not, I think they just have to put that into this filing.
Right.
Do you have voting power on the options?
That is a good question. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, he doesn't own them yet, so I would assume no.
No, you don't.
But I don't know for sure.
I don't think you do.
I
Highlander?
hope I'm not stepping on toes. I'm new to this stuff. Wouldn't Nevada, from a monetary standpoint and a legal standpoint, be a better position? I'm just asking the question.
Overall, yes. That is Elon's conclusion. That's why Neuralink and Boring Company have decided to incorporate there rather than Texas. But because Tesla's headquarters is in Texas, Elon just figured it's probably just makes more sense to just do it there. Otherwise, I think Tesla would incorporate or move their incorporation to Nevada.
We have a question from YouTube live chat. Can a new compensation plan be approved while the appeal is still pending?
That would not be smart from a legal standpoint. That would result in a lot of risk for not only Tesla, but its shareholders, because this could ultimately just happen all over again. So you don't want that. So you either just decide not to appeal, and then you just create a new compensation based off the McCormick's ruling, or you go ahead and appeal, and if you end up winning, then you can almost just do a similar compensation package structure to what the 2018 one had. But again, it all depends on what Tesla ends up deciding to do.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sawyer. Any questions, comments? Please request to speak. The space is living up to its name, Tesla Live. I was wondering where you were. When it first popped out, I went to your profile. I'm like, where's this guy when you need him? Where's Batman when you need him?
I got a DM send me like, is this breaking news? What's going on? I'm like, oh God. No. I bet people are freaking out right now.
Amy says in YouTube chat live, how many times will a judge overrule shareholders? We need another shareholder vote and increase transparency on the next pay package. Why don't we know from the judge exactly what to change? Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, it's sort of tough to how to tackle this. I mean, the judge just feels like the process was not fair. And, I saw the former SEC chairman say, well, is a bad process, does that outweigh a good shareholder vote? Like, she's sort of assuming all of us were just, either led in bad faith or we weren't made aware of a lot of these relationships between Elon and the board, which was, in my opinion, ridiculous. I certainly knew how close Elon and some of the board members were, but I chose to say yes to the ruling anyways, or to the proposal anyways.
Noel, you may unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, guys. I just wanted to ask, do you know anything about Tesla investing in XAI?
I don't have any news on that, no. I'm not sure if they will, or I think Elon said, obviously like X, like Twitter, X is sort of like under the XAI umbrella somewhat, but it sort of remains to be seen if Tesla would make any like investment into XAI.
Okay, that was it. Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions, comments? Please request to speak. This space has been going on for more than 2 hours. We're here every day, starting at 2 p.m. Central Time. You may join us for all things Tesla every day, not just when there is speculative news. Kate, what's most exciting to you these days about Tesla?
Sorry, I was trying to navigate back after being out there on X. What's most exciting about Tesla? I mean, there's a lot going on. It's every day there's something new.
Cybertruck production seems to be ramping pretty steadily. That's good to see. I think we're going to get V12.2 at some point soon, maybe this weekend or next weekend.
Can you hear me?
You cut off for a little bit.
No, it kicked me right off. It literally kicked me off stage. It kicked me off the app. That was weird.
Did you get a call?
No, not at all. All of a sudden, I was out of the app. I was just looking at the screen on my phone, and I was like, "Wow, that was weird." I didn't select anything either. Right? There's a lot going on. I think there's a lot that keeps us exciting, whether it's negative FUD or if it's exciting things that are coming on the horizon that are good for Tesla. But I think watching the Giga Mexico going up is going to be really cool. And I think for a lot of us long-term shareholders, looking at the next gen platform is pretty exciting.
Sawyer, when do you think the next gen production is going to start and ramp?
I kind of agree with what sort of Elon guided at the end of 2025, which is certainly much later than I would have liked. I guess it's possible that, they figure things out quicker than either they or we think they will, and it could be mid-2025, but I don't think we should expect it sooner than that. We might see an unveil of it sooner than that, but I don't think production will start.
Cade Cargus, you may go ahead.
Hey, thanks. You even said my last name right. Most people get it wrong. I appreciate that. This is just kind of anecdotal, but related to the post from Tesla about future Model Y refresh. Found it an interesting approach to say it's not coming this year. Obviously, that could help some people in the short term to decide, okay, I'll go ahead and get a Model Y. But at least anecdotally, I know multiple people that are in the market and looking, and even just hearing that there could be a Model Y in the next year and a half, they're willing to wait a year. I think a lot of people that are in the market for a Model Y aren't in dire need of getting it. So it still seems like it could have an Osborne effect. I'm sure you guys have talked about this at length in various different spaces and stuff, and I might have missed it even on this one, but at least in my circles, it seems like people are still trying to wait, and I hope that doesn't Osborne it too much, but I'd love to see them push their timeline sooner if that's possible and release it early. People would definitely want the new Model Y when it comes out.
Yeah, we talked about this topic yesterday quite extensively. You may go to a YouTube channel to find a supercar recording of it. I think some people said that the fact that Tesla announced that there won't be a refresh this year is indication in and of itself that there's some people, waiting to order, and they're getting questions. And I think the overall consensus yesterday was it's not going to come in until at the very end of this year, probably more like early next year. So if you want a car, if you need a car, Model Y is obviously the best vehicle, best value in so many different ways, and the lowest price lower than RAV4 in some cases. So after the federal tax credit, there are tens of millions of people who live in the handful of states that offer state tax credit as well. And you get to save on gas and everything, and you're getting the best-selling, most popular vehicle in the world. So go ahead and get it now if you need a vehicle today. Sawyer?
I think it's safe to say, like, we should probably see this refreshed Model Y in Shanghai first, just like the new Model 3, maybe like Q3, Q4 of this year, and then have it come out to like North America Q1 of 2025. I think it's pretty rare for obviously Tesla to even acknowledge there's a new model of anything coming. But I think I spoke to a sales advisor at a Tesla store, and he's like, every day I get people ask me, when's the refreshed Model Y coming? So I think that they just got so many requests for that they just felt like they had to address it to let people know this thing is not like just around the corner, like next month or Q2. This thing is still a ways off, and we have great low Model Y prices right now. Like, you might as well just get that versus waiting, a year or so for the new Y.
Yeah, I think that could be true for a lot of people. I'm both an investor and a Model Y owner, and I have a version, I guess not version, but the 2022 Model Y, and I definitely wish I could get the refresh as soon as it does come out. You never know, maybe I will. But yeah, I know for a lot of people that kind of splits their decision.
Just wanted to say what I...
So, Cade, I moved that other person down to listener mode for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it, but I appreciate you guys' comments. I think there's still going to be a lot of people on the fence. Sawyer, I think you're right. It encourages people to get something now if they're in the market and prices are low. But also I think a lot of people in the price range that Model Y has been historically aren't in a rush, and if they think they can get quite a bit better vehicle. I mean, if it does a similar update to the Model 3, there's enough efficiency, tech, soundproofing, just all the different things that I know a lot of people that'd be willing to wait a year to get that. But I hope people continue to buy, considering I'm also an investor. So I appreciate any comments on that, and thanks for having me up.
Thank you, Cade. Kristen, go ahead.
I was just going to add, not only are people going in showrooms, but there's a lot of us here that overhype and get detailed on the Model Y refresh that we're posting. It's coming in a month. It's coming soon. I see it around the corner. And for a lot of people who are not as big into Tesla or even the FSD, I think there's a lot of Model Ys out there with great discounts that still can go through. So I think waiting a year is smart. And I do think personally that the prices might go up a little bit more on the Model Y, especially with the refresh.
I mean, if you just think about it logically, they're not going to ramp the new 3 and the new Y at the same time. They're going to wait for the new 3 to be mostly ramped, and then they'll move on to the Y. I mean, they have so many different products. They're still ramping up Cybertruck. They're focusing on building out the semi-factory in Nevada. They have a lot going on. They don't want to do everything all at once.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that if they've already had some 4680 Model Ys, hopefully they work out some of the charging kinks. So that when they refresh that, maybe we'll see a better 4680 approach to the Model Y, but that competes with the ramp of the Cybertruck, as you already called out, and even the semi. So totally makes sense from their perspective, time-wise. Just hope sales continue to go up.
We're just such big Tesla nerds. We know all the tech that's the best out there, and we all want to wait for it.
Absolutely. Joey, go ahead.
Hi, I've never done this before, but I just had a question. If I had a Model 3 2022, and I sold that, like my dad got that for me. If I am thinking of getting another one, do you think with the new 3, it's better to get that or get an S if I had the opportunity?
I would get the new 3.
Over the S?
Yeah, because the new 3 has like a lot of the technologies now that the S has, like ventilated seats, better suspension, has the rear seat screen, the interior ambient lighting. It has so many things that I don't think it's worth spending, $30,000 more for the S, in my opinion.
Thanks, Sawyer. I agree. Sovo, I mean, unless you want the best of the best, like Model S Plaid is the best sedan in the world.
If you want air suspension, yeah, right. Or if you need extra space or whatever, and or the fastest car, yeah, I get the S.
Yeah, this is Sovo.
Just a question regarding, I heard rumors. Andrej Karpathy has resigned, and there's rumors that he might be joining Tesla again. Does anybody have more information on this?
Wherever you heard those aren't true. That's just speculation. But in general, I think Andre is an academic. He doesn't seem to like the financial or business aspect of things often. At OpenAI, there was a lot of drama and a lot of distractions, which maybe made it less fun for him. I think he goes where he feels the most purpose and potential positive impact. And for him, I think that evolves over time, which is why I think we see him making the moves that he has in recent years, going from Tesla to OpenAI. Now it sounds like he's just going to focus on, more personal projects. He still likes collaboration, but I think he just wants to maybe go solo for a while, see how he feels.
Yeah, if you go to his account, he addressed that in some of his posts.
And we talked about this very question earlier in the space, and you can go to YouTube channel to listen to the recording. Thank you, Soho.
Thank you.
We have 2 more speakers coming up. Give me 1 second. Bradford, go ahead.
Yeah, you're claiming Model Y is the best Tesla available. Have you ridden in the Model 3 Plus?
Is that question for me?
Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. I said Model Y is the best-selling vehicle in the world. Do you have another question?
No other questions.
Thank you. Jesus Love, go ahead.
Yaman and Sawyer, how far off do you think we are from the performance Model 3?
I'm going to guess April. That'd be my speculation.
And pricing, what do you think?
Well, I think the difference between the old Model 3 long range and the old Model 3 performance will be smaller than what this new Model 3 long range, Model 3 performance will be. I think it seems like they want to have a bigger distinction between the two. More actual upgrades, physical upgrades on the new 3 performance. That's the vibe I get. But I don't think it'll be all that much more expensive than the old performance was. Maybe like a couple grand more or something.
And how many non-employees, I don't want to change too much, do you think have Cybertrucks yet?
So non-employees? Yeah. It's probably, I don't know, like maybe 500 to 1,000 around there. Cool.
So a lot of people are excited about the Cybertruck. They cannot wait for their VINs. They're watching people, reading posts about some people getting their VINs, and they're checking their pages all the time. And when do you think Tesla will produce the $80,000 dual motor Cybertruck that qualifies for the federal tax credit?
Not Q1, certainly. I thought it might have been Q2, but now I'm sort of leaning towards Q3 only because they have so many foundation series orders and people willing to fork up like 100 grand, 120 for these things. And they might as well just do that because it's better margins. So they'll probably just focus on that for a while.
Yeah, they certainly have been able to sell foundation series. Demand does not seem to be a problem for the Cybertruck for sure. We have more than 2 million reservations from more than 1 million people. It's the amazing vehicle on so many different fronts. Which Tesla would you get today if you were getting one?
I think it's hard to beat the fact that the Model Y long range is $10,000 less than a Model 3 long range right now, including federal tax credit and inventory incentives. So you can't really beat that. It's $38,000 for brand new long range right now, Model Y, whereas 2 years ago it was $66,000. That's like a 43% difference. I think that's the best value right now that you can get.
Any questions, comments? Please request to speak. Kate, I believe you're a first-time speaker. Would you like to give us a little background on yourself? What are your expertise areas? If I have a question on which topic, should I come to you for answers?
I think I've been on once, but it was months ago. It's been a long time. I only tune in periodically. Definitely follow you guys on Twitter, read your conversations and stuff. Long-time investor, probably 2016, 2017. Didn't get a car myself, a Model Y at least, until 2022. I've been following a long time. Just I wouldn't say I have any special expertise that you folks don't have. Just like to be part of the conversation. A couple comments that I was just thinking about from the discussion you guys just had. The cooled seats definitely would have got me. I'm in the Phoenix area. It's very hot here in the summer, so that's one reason why I would want the new refresh Model Y. And also, I was in the bucket of purchasing at that peak price, and it's hard not to be a little bit bitter about that. But again, being both a buyer and an investor, I'm on board with the path that Tesla's on. I'm excited for the future, and been buying more shares recently. So
Thank you, Cade. I pinned at the top of your screens a supercut of yesterday's All Things Tesla, Tesla Live episode. Every day we're here at 2 p.m. Central. And at the end of the day, I publish on YouTube a supercut with all the filler words and the long pauses extracted. And I publish the chapters as well, so you can skip through to the chapter that you're interested in. One example of it is at the top of your screens. So yesterday there was some interesting news about CATL batteries being removed from the grid based on Biden administration's request. Would you like to tell us about that? Does that give you a concern about Tesla Energy's growth going forward?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because obviously a lot of our electronics that we use in our daily lives are made in China, like all of our iPhones, most of them. And a lot of government people use those. But I guess because even though those are built in China, it's owned by an American company, whereas CATL is built in China and owned by China individuals. So I guess this is sort of similar to Chinese officials banning Tesla vehicles from some Chinese government facilities due to, camera spying concerns. So I guess it's really no different. I'm not sure if there's going to be any huge negative long-term impact from it. If anything, that just means that the government won't want to buy CATL energy storage products. They'll just have to go to maybe Tesla for more megapacks instead. So from that standpoint, I guess it'd be somewhat positive.
Seems like Tesla has enough sourcing options too that they can prove to the U.S. that the battery packs or whatever they've got coming are all locally produced. Obviously, they interact with other providers overseas. As long as they can prove that that's not making it here and into the government contracts, I think, it would be beneficial.
Great, thank you, Kay. Thank you, Sawyer. Chintan Shah has a question that replies, when do you guys think we get $7,500 EV credit back on Model 3?
That's sort of anyone's guess. I think they need more 2170 cells to become available in Nevada for that to happen. I'm not sure, though.
Any other questions? Please request to speak. We have Sawyer on the board. Anything Tesla, you can ask Sawyer. We have K10 as well. We have Wes, who used to work at Tesla before. And we have Kate Cargis on the board as well.
I actually need to drop here in a minute, but I did have one other question. Maybe you guys have entertained these questions before, but is anybody tracking the production rate or even delivery rate of the Cybertruck versus Lightning, and when that will eclipse the Lightning?
Well, Lightning production rate is going down. I mean, they're cutting production over there. And I think the more Cybertruck production increases, the more Ford is going to have to cut Lightning production. Cybertruck doesn't really have competition as far as I'm concerned. Sawyer?
I believe Ford plans on making around 80,000 F-150 Lightnings this year. I don't think Tesla will make 80,000 Cybertrucks. I thought they would in late 2023, but I think it'll be lower than that. I think it's going to be a while, though, before they catch up to the Lightning. It's just such a different vehicle than the Lightning, the Cybertruck.
Sawyer, what
For
do you
sure.
think is the limiting factor on Cybertruck production? Drew highlighted on the call that 4680, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely not 4680s. I think it's a lot of little things. Like there's just all kinds of new processes like to build this thing that Tesla hasn't dealt with before. So I think it's just a lot of little things on the production line that all add up to lower output. But this is just sort of normal in the ramp up process. They figure these things out, and that's why they sort of warned that this will be a longer ramp up than a typical Tesla vehicle, just because of all these new things.
We have quite a few listeners from Europe, even at this hour. I think it's nighttime over there. Do you think Cybertruck will come to Europe ever? They want to know. They're curious. They want the best vehicle that's coming to market, the best and the greatest from the greatest company in the world. What do you tell them?
I mean, I guess, yeah, why not? I don't know how popular trucks are over there. Obviously, US is number one in that regard, but if they have to make like significant design changes to fit regulatory needs, then I don't know if they would decide to do that, because then you have to like get a new supply chain for certain things potentially. Like, that's not ideal for costs.
Yeah, maybe eventually Tesla will adjust the Cybertruck to meet whatever regulation there is in Europe, but I can't imagine Cybertruck not being a global product.
Well, then you have China, which like has its own regulations, and in its current form, the Cybertruck would be not allowed to be sold in that country. So if you have a situation where like the US has a certain set of regulations that allow the current design, then Europe needs a different design, then China needs a different design from the US and Europe, I'm not sure it makes sense to just have a different kind of vehicle for every single country or market.
SRO, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering in which quarter do you think that the Cybertruck will be accretive to earnings?
Which quarter? Oh, I mean, not this year.
Well,
next year.
Yeah. Even with the foundation model being a high margin vehicle, I wonder what the volume would need to be for it to be contributing to earnings.
I mean, for it to be really material, I think it'd have to be pretty up there. I think next year at some point we'll get there.
Okay, thank you.
Wes, do you have a view on that? At what production level will Cybertruck become accretive to earnings?
I think we have to very soundly pass 50,000 a year. And it's more than likely only going to make a real impact when it's over 100.
I agree. I mean, the current line is designed for 250,000 a year, and you want to get to 60, exactly. 70, 80% of your production line. So you're looking at 200,000 probably. So whenever we start seeing 4,000 plus per week level SRO, that's when we're going to see accretive to earnings for a full quarter, by the way, not just for the end of the quarter.
Yeah, and I was watching Autoline Daily, and I noticed that they had figures for Europe on the competing competition and their percentage of their capacity utilization. And it's pretty low. It's well below 80%, which is kind of the break-even number of what you want to run at to be sure that you're utilizing your built-out capacity. And some of it's very low. So yeah, I think that they really have to get above 50,000. Like, I would hope that they would do that very quickly, like within the next quarter or two, so that they can prove that the manufacturing process can scale. Because right now it's hard to say, because it's taken quite a long time.
Thank you, Wes. Kirsten, how are you doing? K10?
Oh, are you asking me? I thought you said Karsten. I'm sorry. How am I doing? I'm doing good. I'm just it's funny to watch how people got hyped up thinking this 13G was something else, and then it's blowing over as just an annual thing. So we we're so microscopic in every little movement of Tesla or Elon. It's interesting.
I think people are really looking for signs that the stock is going to go up.
Yeah, I think so too. And that maybe, after seeing what that judge did, with the Twitter case, and then coming back and saying it's unfathomable that you should receive such a pay package when it was already voted on, I think the shareholders are ready to see something from Tesla and the board move forward too, and Elon. So,
Do you think that move is going to come before this case is resolved?
I honestly don't know. This is all unprecedented, something new that I'm watching too. So, I mean, I don't know how much they want to reveal their hand because everyone's on it so fast. So, I don't know. What do you think?
I'm with you. I'm not really sure. This is not my area of expertise, CEO compensation. So, but they said before that they're waiting for the case to be resolved. So, I'm guessing that they're gonna do that. They're probably gonna follow what they said they will. And Sawyer said earlier that it's probably gonna take at least 6 months for the process to be resolved, maybe up to 12 months. So, that's the timeline I mean, unless if they decide not to appeal, but I don't see how they don't appeal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think people. Oh,
do you have FSD?
me?
Yeah. Do you have FSD?
Oh yeah, I would think I was the 10th person outside the employees to get the FSD beta. Yeah, I have FSD.
All right. How's it doing for you?
It's doing good. I mean, it seems to be doing better every time. I mean, I'm not. I'm going to keep my hands and eyes on the road still. I mean, it's required that we do it, but I think it's doing a lot better than the earlier different versions that we had out. It's always improving. That's 100%.
Do you use it for most of your miles?
I don't use it for most of my miles, but I'm a very kinesthetic spatial learner, and I actually like to drive. I find it very enjoyable. So I do use it for boring drives or times when traffic is very thick, though.
Which version are you on? 11.4.9, or do you have the? Are you waiting for 12?
I'm waiting for 12. Honestly, Omar is the only person, as much as the rumors are out there, that I know of that has 12. That is not an employee. So they say other people are out there, but I don't know anybody else. It's just employees and him that I know of.
Yeah, he said in here before that about 100 people have it, but he's most of them are not obviously on social media. They're just going about their ways. And Omar is trying to post as much content as possible on his YouTube channel, on X as well. And we discuss his FSD V12 rides in this space every day. And then I publish about 5-10 minute videos on YouTube summarizing his daily drives. And he's taken it to San Francisco, to LA, and he's trying different edge cases and coming in here every single day and explaining to us. So it's really nice of him to do that.
Yeah, that definitely is great. It's kind of what he's been doing, I think, since we had it for 4 years.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you guys are breaking it down in here. I think it's important people have a chance to ask the questions.
Yeah, all the questions around U-turns or, left-hand turns. How does it handle the stop signs or parking lots and this and that? We kind of go every single day about it. Any questions, comments? Please request to speak. At times like this, when there's a lot of news and speculative posts, we get a lot of new speakers. One of them was just requesting to speak, but this space has been going on for about 2.5 hours. Any questions, comments, please request to speak. Let's see. Steven, go ahead.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
So you're left.
This is a Cybertruck question, and it has to do with pricing. So I'd like to just talk through it and see what your opinions are, Yaman. So right now, we have this $100,000 plus Cybertruck, and at some point, all those people will be gone that can afford that. And then we'll start getting the $80,000 people, but I think there's not going to be enough production for these $80,000 people, meaning I think they're going to raise the price. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think instead of that, they might just kind of extend Foundation Series production probably through the end of the year. That's my guess. And then eventually, production is going to increase enough that, $80,000 will be able to produce. I would think sometime next year. And then the year after that, we should start seeing the rear-wheel drive production. Wes, what do you think?
Sorry, I don't know the exact question.
Okay. Julian?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's your question?
Great. So I'm interested in the van. Tesla disclosed that they are thinking about it, I think, during Battery Day. At the same time, the market for vans is definitely smaller than the market for compact cars or for trucks. So I'm just wondering if you guys think they will actually do it, and if they will, what's the timeline?
We don't know anything about the Cybervan. Wes, do you have an opinion on that, when Cybervan is going to come about?
I think we obviously have to see the Cybertruck ramp up first. I can't imagine they're going to do a van anytime soon, largely because I think Rivian is kind of tackling that. So, just remember the company is set up to advance sustainable energy and transportation. So that Rivian's kind of got that. So I would think that they would they'd focus on the next generation, smaller vehicle first and kind of knock that out. Obviously the Semi as well. They've got vehicles that they still have to ramp before they start another one.
That makes sense. Julian, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, guys. And any clue about the solar tiles? I mean, we've seen how solar has not been doing great for Tesla so far. It's pretty difficult to ramp up. So I don't know if there's any news, on the tiles.
We haven't heard any news on solar roof. Solar panels seem to do great for those interested in solar panels, solar energy. And solar roof seems to be on the back burner for now. It is a very labor-intensive product. So, I think Optimus may make a difference, 5-10 years down the line on solar roof, but I wouldn't expect a huge ramp up of solar roof at the time. Tesla has its hands on dozens of different things, products and services, and there has to be a priority list, and I don't think solar roof is at the top of that priority list right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Steven, how are you? How's it going?
It's going great. 2 weeks, I'll have my blue check mark back.
Oh, yeah? All right, you excited? What did you change? Why did you lose it?
I actually changed subscriptions and it went away.
Oh, really? You went from premium plus to premium?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it goes away. Like, why does it have to go away? Anyway.
Yeah, so your thoughts on the Cybertruck pricing is we'll just keep it at 80,000, and if you have to wait, you have to wait. I mean, I've been waiting 4 years, so I guess another 2 years will be okay. And they won't raise the price because of the demand.
I think you'll get 80,000 next year. I don't think you have to wait another 2 years. Do you need a car right now?
No, not well, kinda. Not really. No.
Well, we have other products. We can. Do you want to go next time you come to Austin? Maybe we can go for a test drive.
I may be coming down that way because we're looking at houses in your area.
Yeah, there you go. And why don't you bring your son, who came into the space the other day? And when I asked him, so what do you want? And he goes, I'm not even going to repeat the brand name, but it was not a Tesla.
So
I cried myself to sleep that night, Stephen.
This is proof that I'm the only one. You're making me laugh here. They go about their lives. They see what they see. They know we own a Tesla. They know it's the best car on the planet, but they're going to choose what they want to choose.
Just bring them along to our test drive. Bring them. I'll talk to them. We'll put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, they were grounded for a week after those comments, so, you know.
Is that right?
No, but
okay.
I thought about that afterwards.
Because that's what I would do. Wes?
Yeah. I do that with my kids too when they step out of line and talk about other electric car manufacturers, which brings me to my next point. I'm seeing an ad in my feed. I don't know if other people see ads in their feed, but it's a very strange ad. It's for BYD, and they don't sell cars in the US, but yet I'm getting an ad, and I thought that was pretty funny.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's basically just says Happy Valentine's Day, and it has a pink BYD seal in it, but it's just very odd. They don't sell cars here, so I just didn't know if anybody else was seeing that or if it's just me.
What's your theory, Wes, on why they're advertising over here?
I don't know. I saw it and I thought it was a mistake because I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's definitely a BYD, and it says it in the ad, and yet they don't sell here. So maybe they just somehow bought that by mistake, or X posted it in the United States by mistake.
I think they may have. Don't they do? I don't want to misspeak here, but don't they have some buses here? Some small operation. I know they have an office in US.
For some reason, I was thinking the same thing, Yaman. I'm not sure. That was in the back of my mind as well.
So that's one possible explanation. Another possible explanation is that they obviously have some investors based in US. So they might be still worried about their brand, etc. And then the third possibility, maybe they bought their ad wrong or the algo is wrong, what have you. That's just three of them.
Yeah, it's just one data point.
Yeah.
Maybe if they have another one, then we'll see a trend. But yeah, odd.
Do you think they're going to bring their low-priced vehicles to the U.S. anytime soon?
You know, it's funny. I happened to see Kyle Connor out of spec. He drove his Coda for the first time legally. I don't know if folks remember this vehicle. It came out in 2012. It was supposedly going to be, like a Model 3 killer type thing. Put Tesla in its place, all that FUD stuff, and they sold like 100 or 150 of these things, and this dealership sold it to them for $0. But I thought of that car when I thought of BYD because Coda was, they tried. But, BYD is obviously a competitor. They're, top shelf competitor in China and trying to break into Europe. So, yeah, I that's got to be on their roadmap if they continue to succeed, which they are right now. So in China, they are. They have to succeed, I think, in Europe first because they do make quite a bit of small electric vehicles, which fit into the European market better. So I'm tracking them to see how well they're doing there, and I'm always interested to see which vehicles they're trying to push hardest there to compete with other brands.
Do you worry about BYD presence in the U.S. as a Tesla shareholder?
No, not at all. I think it's honestly I think it would be super healthy. I think it would show that the market is ripe, still, very ripe for disruption. And it would show that there's demand. And if BYD did come here, obviously they would do so potentially with a large marketing campaign. I know that VinFast is trying this now, and just like the Coda, Kyle and his channel have also purchased a VinFast, and I can't remember if it's the VF8, but they're also doing a breakdown of like how that car performs. They're not doing marketing, but I think BYD would because they're such a large manufacturer. So I think it would show that the EV market is healthy and there's demand. So I would actually like that as a Tesla investor.
Yeah, one thing I agree with everything you said. One thing I would add is BYD doesn't appear to be working on FSD or autonomous driving. And when Tesla perfects FSD, I don't think many people will want a car that can't drive itself. Even though, as Kristen pointed out, many people like driving their own cars. They enjoy driving, especially Teslas. Still, Kristen has FSD on her car. And just the capability, I think, is going to be important in the future, important in this differentiator.
I agree. And, like rewinding about 6 years ago, I did think that FSD was going to be solved by now, in large part. And now that it isn't, that has actually allowed these other companies to, kind of gain market share. Not traditional auto. They haven't really provided any kind of vehicles that can compete, but the Chinese manufacturers have. And I find that to be extremely interesting, especially the I watched this video on XPeng's new system in China, and they have a system that's rolled out to over 200 cities now that does kind of a level 2, almost level 3 type scenario, handles those scenarios. And I find that to be interesting that they're able to make these cars that can compete on price and feature set, and some, a little bit on FSD, but in the large part, it just shows that when you make these vehicles, the public kind of demands them because it's just so much of a better experience. So like rewinding a little bit, I kind of thought that FSD would be solved, but now there is a bit of competition, and honestly, like I just think that just makes the marketplace healthier altogether.
Great. Just a quick reminder that ad revenue from YouTube allows them to keep these X spaces free and open to everybody. So it really helps if people subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscriptions are free on YouTube, and the link is at the top of your screens. Stephen?
So a question about the Chinese cars. Do you think that the U.S. government will allow Chinese cars to come into the U.S. that have cameras on them and computers on them, just like they're not really letting us in their facilities? Or do you think we'll do the final assembly here? We'll put the cameras in and the computers in, and it'll be our software and our cameras, but we'll let them come in.
Yeah, I think the data sovereignty rights will be enforced, just like it kind of does in Europe, and it definitely does in China. I think there will be some type of, insurance that the data that is captured here stays here. And obviously, to have a system here, it has to be trained on data here. So that I think that's what also is like what's delaying the rollout in Europe as well as in China. These Chinese companies that have already rolled out systems, they have data sovereignty. They've met those requirements. And I don't think that Tesla's been able to do that yet, because they are going to fall behind if they don't release a more feature-rich version of ADAS, versus other companies. Because like XPeng they have a wide range of cars now that have support. I think they have 4 vehicles, And granted, it's not, as big as BYD's fleet, but I know BYD is also pursuing this very heavily. And they have a partnership, with several companies to provide the whole suite in their vehicles. So they're marching towards that as quick as they can because it gives them a competitive advantage. So I would hope that, Tesla does that too, but I think that's kind of the reason that the system hasn't been launched here or hasn't been launched there, and that when BYD comes here, they'll have to also meet requirements for data sovereignty.
Any other questions, comments? Please request to speak. If no other questions, comments, we're going to end the space. And we have these spaces daily. You're welcome to join us at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific Time. I'm going to publish the live recording on YouTube channel immediately. And I'm going to edit the video, X-Space. I try to reduce the time it takes to watch it by half so that we only get the tight information rather than the long pauses and the filler words and all that, unrelated connection issues, etc. I take all of that out and reduce it to about an hour, 70 minutes or so instead of the 3 hours that we usually on here every day. So you can subscribe to the YouTube channel via the link at the top of your screens. Machine?
Please don't subscribe, unsubscribe, dislike, and exit the chat.
All right, on that note, thank you very much, everybody, and talk to you tomorrow. All right. After party. After party! Who's still here? Who's on YouTube Live? How do you guys think that went? Amy, thank you very much and Steve as well, for moderating. Lance says, BYD has a bus plant in Lancaster, California. There you go. I was right. High five. High five, everybody. They display some cars at the facility. Great. Ken says, rock on. Went well. Aim says. Chris N asking, how is charging on BYD? I think it's a little slower, right? I think it's a little slower than Tesla's. Especially, I don't think they have their own supercharging network or anything like that. So, BYD doesn't stand a chance against Tesla in the US. I mean, this is our home court. We got the home court advantage. We have our supercharging network. They would have to pay tariffs, but even without tariffs, we're going to have robotaxis in here first. So, as far as I'm concerned, they can bring them here, but they're not going to sell them. Thank you very much for joining early today. We started a half hour early with a pregame. This live stream has been going on for 3 hours. Earlier today, we had another half hour, 1 hour live stream on YouTube. Trying to rack up some watch hours. And so this going on for 3 hours, I think we had on average about 50, 60 people. So that should add 150 plus hours again today. And then about 100 hours from the edited recording. So that's about 250 a day. So, and we're short, after today, it's going to be about 2,000 hours. So that's going to be, 10 days to 2 weeks. And it'll take about a week or two for them to approve it. So we're a couple of weeks away from monetization still. Well, that's okay. Steve says, text from a friend today, pic of a Cybertruck in the school pickup line. I think first Cybertruck in our area. There you go. That's great. I mean, the delivery event was at the end of November, so December, January, February, we're mid-February. It's been 3 months since the delivery event now. And still people are talking about it every single time they see it. They send me a picture of it on the road. So people who are paying $100,000 for these vehicles are getting a lot of attention in 2024. Thank you very much for keeping the live chat ongoing today during the speculative news that came out about the 13G, 13D. A lot of replies in this live chat was really helpful when I was running the X space. So I'm always keeping an eye on what's being said in this live chat. And because of, the more concentrated group of people who've also been with the X space for years now, 2 years and ongoing, I can rely on what's being said in here a little bit more than, I got hundreds of replies, hundreds of mentions when that news came out. And, you just don't know who to believe at the time. And I don't want to say anything wrong, so. As you saw, the stock price after hours actually went up 2%. There was a lot of posts. We're probably talking hundreds, maybe hundreds of posts at a minimum about Elon buying shares. And that obviously was, doesn't appear to be correct. So, and then we had some discussion, a little back and forth. I think we did a good job. And then Sawyer came in, and then that was the end of the discussion. That was the end of it. But that took about 15, 20 minutes for him to come in. So during that 15, 20 minutes, we have, after hours trading going on. So have to be very careful about what's being said. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And we'll do it again, half-hour pregame tomorrow. And I will talk to you guys then. Good night.